Great. Aloha and good morning. Thank you for those that are joining in the room and online. I am calling to order the Environmental Management Commission for August the 27th. We would like to start by approving the minutes from June 25th meeting. Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. We have to do roll call. May I please have roll call starting in the room? John, do you mind?
Here.
Can you do your?
John Komitani, District 9, Kohao.
Jim Bates, District 1.
Justin Canellis, District 6.
And those that are online? I see you, Gonzalez.
Yeah, this is Gonzalo Garcia, District 7. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's nobody in the room with you, is that correct?
Correct.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we have quorum. And we can start with first agenda item of approving minutes for June 25th.
Second.
Okay, we have first and second, so approving the minutes as they are for June the 25th. I'd like to take this time and to welcome Justin Canellis from District 6. He's the new commissioner for the Environmental Management Commission and representing the Ka'u district.
Thank you, Erica. Really honored to be here and to serve the county on this important role.
Excellent. We're very excited to have you. We had a transition from a Commissioner Dot Norris. And so we are going to be moving to elect a new vice chair for our commission. Is there any nomination for a vice chair for the Environmental Management Commission? Would anybody be willing to serve as a vice chair for the Environmental Management Commission? I realize that Justin just joined the Environmental Management Commission, but would you be willing to serve as vice chair?
Yes, I'd be willing to serve as vice chair.
Excellent. May we have a motion to vote for Justin Canola as the vice chair for Environmental Management Commission? Make a motion.
I move that we accept the nomination.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so thank you so much. We're gonna, may we have a vote to accept the motion for Justin for the vice chair for Environmental Management Commission? Those that are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, we have the motion carries and we welcome Justin as vice chair to the Environmental Management Commission. At this time, we would like to accept public statements on any of the agenda items. You will also have an opportunity to provide testimony at that time of the item being discussed. So you can speak right now, or you can hold until the agenda item comes forward. Please, yep. If you can just start with your name and the agenda item that you're providing testimony for, please.
Yes, my name is Alan Fukumizu. This is regarding agenda item number 3, introduction of a new commissioner. Is that okay? Okay.
Yes.
So just my question, just in transparency, Justin works for Recycle Hawaii, or you're the director of operations? Okay. So as your role of director of operations in Recycle Hawaii, will that become an issue with anything with this commission regarding conflict of interest?
I'm sorry, if you could just leave it
Oh, yeah,
with
sorry, the question.
testimony
Okay.
and not questioning.
Okay. So
Thank
as
you.
Justin's, like I said, this is nothing against you, just in transparency. So Justin's role is the director of operations at Recycle Hawaii. So yeah, sorry, no questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Is there any other testimony at this time? Yep. Excellent. If you could just go ahead and state your name and then the agenda item that you're providing testimony for, please.
Red on. Good morning. I'm here with Roy Takimoto. We're with Puako for Reefs, a nonprofit, to working on a sewer collection line in Puako. And the agenda item is number 6, number 1, about a pilot project. So we submitted a big packet of for testimony. So there's a lot of data in there that you can peruse at your leisure, or if you have insomnia. The lack of a model for community-initiated solutions. In response to the state's 2050 mandate to eliminate all cesspools, there are 3 choices. Every homeowner on their own, wait for the county to implement a plan according to their priorities, or communities organize to partner with the county. So in certain areas, replacing a cesspool with a septic or aerobic ATU may be an appropriate solution, in which case every homeowner could carry out this solution on their own. However, where the only appropriate solution is a sewer system due to either small lot sizes or a coastal area where septics and ATUs are still contaminating waters, either the county or the community must initiate this solution. So waiting for the county may be too late to save coral reefs that are sensitive to wastewater effluent. For example, several scientific studies have documented that the Puaka Reef could still recover if the stress from wastewater effluent was removed, but we have about a 10-year window. And as you know, these projects are a little bit complicated. So in that window, that would be before damage becomes irreversible. So this urgency prompted our community, Puako community, to take action. Over the past 10 years, Puako community has partnered with 3 successive county administrations. And so local residents have donated more than $3 million to support this work, and agreements were reached under 2 administrations, but ultimately the project has stalled. The root problem is not a lack of support, but a lack of a process. So we're looking for a pathway. The county does not currently have that pathway for community-initiated sewer projects. The only pathway offered by the county is a CFD process, Community Finance District, but that's designed for developers, and it requires an initial deposit of $75,000 to kick it off. So for a community, that's a little tricky. So we're suggesting that Puako be a model. Where Puaco's not alone. Other communities in the county face similar circumstances, but Puaco is the most advanced in planning and preparedness. This presents a big opportunity. By using Puaco as a pilot project, the county can establish a clear replicable framework to guide future projects across the island. With the support of the EMC and the cesspool conversion task force.
I'm so sorry. If you could just summarize.
Oh my gosh. We formed a nonprofit. We have a solution and we have a whole list of questions that are like threshold questions. And a lot of it boils down to we need a pathway and how would a community do this? So thank you. I'm sorry I was so long-winded. We really would like your support for Puaco to become a pilot project.
Thank
And if you have any
you.
questions, we're here.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
I think that we might hold off for questions when the agenda item comes. Is there any other testimony at this time? Excellent. If you could please just state your name and the item agenda that you are testifying on. Steve Holmes.
Yes, thank you. I'm speaking on the Puaco issue.
Okay, go ahead. So this is agenda item 6-1.
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Barbara Bell and Karen Anderson, all the hard work that they put in over the years. It's kind of shocking that they haven't got a better response from the county in the past. And it's time that we need to address both Puaco and the Kahlua area that Auntie Cindy Punahale has been working on to also sewer. Both are similar in that they're connecting to private treatment plants. Neither one of them is covered under an existing AOC, but both are priority one projects under the Department of Health. Both represent a clear and present threat to the public. Dye testing has shown that raw sewage is entering into nearshore coastal waters in both of these areas. However, the CFD process, and I'm the author of the ordinance for Honolulu on CFDs, is very laborious. Only a community as dedicated as Puaco could have gotten this far. What we really need to meet the thousands of homes that are included in the countywide AOC and Naʻaleu and Pahala is a streamlined fast-track sewer improvement district process. And I look forward to coming back to the Big Island in a week and meeting with many of you to talk about what the options are. EPA has offered the assistance of their financing center, and I think we can proceed on both that and the larger financial plan for the $1 billion worth of work that needs to be done under all three of the AOCs and the Kealakehe federal settlement. A lot of work to be done, and we need to be able to meet deadlines, and only a fast track process is going to be able to do that in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes, for your testimony. Is there any other testimony at this time? Okay, we're going to move along to agenda 6. We do have a tight, oh, okay, we have one more. Thank you so much. If you could please just state your name and the agenda item.
Aloha mai. My name is Terry Napiahi. I'm originally from Hilo, Keaukaha, Hawaiian Homelands. I'm here to testify, and I think you have a really large agenda. So I'm going to kind of put all three that I chose together by starting with the community engagement issue. So that one first.
Could you please state the number, the agenda number,
Okay,
just so we could.
The number on this one would be, oh, where am I? Yes. Okay, we're gonna start first with update regarding the DEM's public communications and engagement first, which is a 7C.
Excellent. Thank you.
Real quick. So I'm going to start with this issue, and I've connected this with our participation Kilkaha Action Network. I'm the founder of this organization that was a committee that began in the Kilkaha Community Association. And this, our mission was to identify toxic release inventory companies that were built in and around our Hawaiian home community. That would include Keaukaha and Panaeva. We've identified 7 major toxic facilities, and in 2014 have managed to find infractions on 7, where EPA came to Hilo to check the 7 TRI companies that were excessively exposing for decades. This particular situation is one of the toxic release inventory companies that have been put in our community, in our Hawaiian homelands beach since the early 60s and 70s. We were invited to participate in a section, NHPA Section 106. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that particular invitation that was given to Keaukaha Action Network and several other interested parties, NHOs. We were asked to do 2 Section 106s, the one development in wastewater treatment plant, and the one that's doing the Pua Force Main project through Hawaiian homelands. So this Section 106 that we are participating in is the Pua Force Main project that goes through Kapili, Andrews, Nahalea, Pua, and to the ocean. So this project has a footprint that discusses the footprint from the plant under the runway to the shoreline and not connecting to the outfall. So in our comment that was due in October 12th, we were waiting for a response. And this response was a request for us to have mitigation with our community leaders, our Native Hawaiian community, so that we could discuss some of the requests that we'd like to ask. One of the items was to ask that they extend the APE, the area of potential effects, to include the outfall and the ocean and the shoreline. We had submitted this request in October. It took 7 months for the county to respond. They responded May 14th, I believe. The Department of Health was the agency that did the review on the comments. They allowed the Department of Environmental Manager to do the comment and response. Our mitigation request was denied, and we are continuing in the process. We wanted to ensure that our request was accepted. So we have been in the process of working with SHPD, who is now waiting for the Department of Environmental Manager and DOH to make the decision and a determination on all the comments that was submitted.
If you could please just summarize and wrap up to the next.
It is now ongoing. It is confirmed that it's still ongoing, and we are just waiting to continue the next process, which will be a judicial challenge. And that is one of the reasons why I started with this first. Okay, next item. Okay, so this would be item 7G. DEM will provide an update regarding the reporting requirements to the State of Hawaii Department of Health and Federal Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. So in the continuation of our research, we had asked for government request records, requesting, I'm sorry, my mouth is really dry, requesting inspection reports from the Department of Health since the inception of the wastewater treatment plant that is on the opposite side of our community, Hawaiian Homes, that was originally at Puhi Bay They moved it in 1991, 92 to the opposite side of the runway. We did our study and asked also for a collection from the Department of Environmental Management of the spill reports since the inception of the plant and the building of the development of the plant. We believe that the degradation of the sewer plant has been neglected by our county, our state, and our federal government. Have asked multiple times for a study to be done. No one has ever done a study on the impacts of the wastewater treatment plant, ever. Recently, there was a study to do cesspool. They were also asked to do the Gila wastewater treatment plant. And if you read the study, they did not do that. We, as a Native community, has participated in that shoreline personally with my family as their icebox. We have seen the degradation of this shoreline for many years, the depletion of fish, the damage of the coral, and no one has addressed it. We are here now to say that we're addressing it. We are participating in Section 106 and moving forward on a judicial challenge as soon as they're done with the ongoing comments. DEM is waiting, the Department of Health, the SHPD is waiting for the comments from the DEM, a collaborative collection of all the comments from those who participated in the NHPA Section 106. They have not yet received it. Although they concurred with the HRS 6E8, they're still asking for additional information from the DEM that has not been dispersed. As soon as we get the decision from SHPD, we will continue our process for judicial challenge. And that is it for G. Did I go into the next one?
Very good. You could go to the next agenda.
Okay. Item 6.2. The Department of Environmental Management would like an EMC to provide comment on documents related to the DMC application for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination. I've seen the fact sheets that was submitted from the Kauai community and county on their request for a permit. We know that every 5 years, the permit for the Gila wastewater treatment plant is discussed and signed off by the Department of Health and Army Corps of Engineers. We have seen with all the documents we've collected, the neglect of the Department of Health, the neglect of the Department of Environmental Management on the reports that was given by the Department of Health of the spills and the infractions. They've looked the other way. We have all this documented. I sent all of the records to Colorado scientists to come up with a summary that will be used in our case. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I just had one quick follow-up question in regards to the 7 major toxic facilities in Kilkaha. Do you have that report that you could provide?
Yes.
Excellent.
I would like to give a presentation in front of you, a 10-minute presentation, and that could be included.
Very good.
When the time comes for a new agenda.
Thank you so much for that offer.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your succinct testimonies. We have a full agenda today, so it is important to keep on time. If there is no additional testimony at this time, we will go ahead and move on to agenda item number 6, which is unfinished business. Okay. Agenda item number 6, unfinished business. Number 1 is consideration of a draft letter. The EMC will consider whether to adopt a letter entitled Recommendation to Use the Puaco Cesspool Conversion Project as a Model for Cesspool Conversion. The letter recommends that DEM take the Puaco Community Proposal to the Cesspool Task Force be used as a model for a scalable cesspool conversion. Are there any questions from the commission, or is there a motion to move this letter into a recommendation?
Gonzalo Garcia here, District 7.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of asking, because I'm a little confused with certain parts of it, but what's the downside to making this recommendation? I honestly don't see a downside to not endorsing this letter.
I don't know if anybody would like to comment on that. I would agree with the testimony that was provided previously by the community member Barbara Bell that the county is in need of a scalable solution to address cesspool conversion, and the work that has gone into Puaco from multiple different industry professionals, as well as the community themselves and multiple NGOs that have helped along the way. I think that this could be a viable model in order to scale cesspool conversion.
So in light of that, I'd like to move that we adopt this and endorse it.
I second that. I second that motion.
Excellent. We have a second. We would like to take this to vote. All those in favor of, I apologize. Is there any further discussion on the motion to accept the draft letter as is for a Puaco model as a recommendation? Yes,
Jim Beats, District 1. In light of the testimony that was presented by Barbara Bell, in the letter here, it states that that this is a request for a CFD, in my understanding. This will be the only county's second CFD. My memory is that during her testimony, she was suggesting a different mechanism. So I need a little clarification on that.
we can clarify, I think that Barbara Bell or Roy Takamoto, would you like to answer that question?
I didn't quite get the question.
Can you please repeat the question?
Yeah, my question is it's in the letter, it's stating that this will be the county's second CFD. And I believe what was presented was a different mechanism to be considered.
Yes.
Can you provide some clarification?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So there are basically two different ways we could have done this. Steve Holmes referred to an improvement district. And what we are proposing is a communities facilities district, a CFD. So an improvement district is something that the county has done several times already as a sewer improvement project, as well as water improvement projects. But an improvement district is very strict and narrow on how you set up the assessments. So an improvement district has to have a really tight nexus to the special benefit being provided to the households. So in the formula, like in Lono Kona was a sewer improvement district. So that assessment was based on a formula based on wastewater generation. And, uh, and that's how they estimated the special benefit being received by each of the households from this sewer project. In Puako, however, you may know Puako community as a very income diverse community. To go strictly by special benefit in that situation would be kind of, I don't know if unfair is the word, but it would be quite inappropriate because of the range of household income and the taxable value of the homes. So in that case, a CFD has more flexibility to develop the special tax formula. And in Puako's case, we are having the special tax consultant do several alternative ways to develop the special tax. And one of those ways is based on the real property taxable value of the homes.
Thank you for that clarification. So you are requesting a CFD.
Yes.
I understand now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there any other questions from the commission? Discussion? If not, we're going to move forward with a vote to consider the draft letter for Puako as a model. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. You can,
I'll just abstain.
okay.
Thank you.
And then
Stay.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, I said aye.
Okay, so the motion passes with. Oh. Oh, I counted wrong. Okay, so the motion fails and we will move on to agenda item number 2. DEM's request for EMC's review. The Department of Environmental Management would like the EMC to provide comment on documents related to DEM's application for National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit for the Gila wastewater treatment plant, which is due August of 2025. Specifically, DEM would like the EMC to comment on DEM's standard operating procedures related to pretreatment of fats, oils, and greases. I believe that was just for DEM to be able to provide the document for review. That's what I meant. I don't think that they. I'm sorry, may I ask someone from DEM? I don't know if there's anybody in the. Was the item that you are requesting for review added or shared with the commission?
Hey, this is Chris, the acting chief.
Thank you so much, Chris. If you could go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what this request is because we already have the permit. And the August 2025 date doesn't seem to coincide with anything. So I have to do a little digging on this. What I can say is we've redone the suggested ordinance for the pretreatment program and the fog control program that were required in the new permit, and we'll be sending those to the commission shortly.
Would that be for comment and recommendations, or is that just a final?
Well, I'm a little unsure of
This
how
com
that works, but yeah, it'll be for comment review, and then I suppose we'll make a formal submittal to council that you'll be copied on as well.
Okay, thank you very much. We look
Yeah,
forward
you're
to
welcome.
seeing that and being able to offer assistance.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 7, updates from the Department of Environmental Management. Is there any public testimony at this time? One more. But not testimony. Okay. We'll go ahead and start with the Environmental Management Commission's update. Is there an update from DEM? Do you have a question? Okay, I'm sorry. Hi, Kelly. Welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. So are
Good
we
morning.
starting with updates from DEM?
Yes, item 7, updates from DEM.
Okay. So I can start with item A. So the DEM's final list of legislative bills enacted in 2025 that relate. There's only two that directly impact the department. So I'm going to start there. I had provided a report last month, I believe. So the first one is House Bill 1091 relating to sewer transmission lines. This became Act 145 in May. And it mandates that the county must accept the dedication of sewer lines serving Hawaiian homelands within 60 days of receiving a completed request, provided the lines have been brought into compliance by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. And the second bill that could impact the department is Senate Bill 946 relating to wastewater management. And this bill clarifies that the prohibition on discharging wastewater into state waters after December 31st, 2026 also applies to treatment plants. It also repeals a previous exemption for facilities that use sewage to produce clean energy. And that became Act 60. There are a few other bills that don't directly impact the department, but I'm going to pause there to see if you had any other specific updates you'd like.
Are there any questions from the commission at this time? No. Cool. You can continue, Kelly. Thank you so much.
Okay. So there's a few more that don't directly impact the department, but impacts the business that we're in. And so House Bill 242 relating to electric vehicle batteries. establishes a working group within Hawaii State Energy Office to develop recommendations for recycling and reusing electric vehicle batteries. And they are required to provide a report to the legislature. And that became Act 209. House Bill 736 relating to wastewater system. This funds a 3-year pilot program for UH Water Research Center. This program will focus on testing new technologies for wastewater systems. This became Act 198. House Bill 750 relating to the environment requires Department of Health to conduct a statewide needs assessment to improve waste reduction and recycling. The goal is to support an extended producer responsibility program for packaging and paper products. An assessment is due to the legislature by end of 2027, and this became Act 103. And that is the last bill that became law that really impacts our business.
Thank you. Are there any comments or updates from the commission, or not updates, I'm sorry, questions?
Back to the SB.
Can you please state your name?
This is Commissioner Justin Canales, District 6. I'm just curious for SB 946 in your first round of letting us know about these legislative bills that have passed. The prohibition against discharging wastewater or raw sewage into state waters after 2026, is that going to impact the Hilo treatment plant or any of the cesspool conversion projects that are currently underway?
You want me to weigh in on that, Kelly?
Please.
Okay, so Hilo already has an NPDES permit. So do the two country plants, Papaiko and
Kuleimano.
yeah, thank you. Naalehu was stuck in my brain. I couldn't get it out. So those plants also have NPDES permits, and they aren't affected, not directly. There's some nuances in the bill. You guys ought to take a look at it. I'm happy to discuss it with you. The plants that are impacted would be Kapehu, Honoka'a, Uluvini, and then Kealikehe. And also the two new plants down in Ka'u would be affected as well. So I think the overriding issue is that it states that all plants need permits, and there's more than a suggestion that should be an NPDES permit. The state is going to have a difficult time issuing permits for plants that don't have a direct discharge, but they do have the ability to enact and provide coverage under an NPDES general permit. So the county should have some discussion with DOH on what that would entail and how that would look.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions at this time, if DM wants to continue their update on the next agenda item.
Sure, Krista, if you'd like me to start, I can just give a quick history on this item. And if there's detailed questions, you can jump in. So the update, the DM's preliminary priority ranking report was submitted to the EPA last summer, 2024. And so the history on this project was the EPA got some technical assistance money that they dedicated to the county, and we worked with a consultant to develop a capital improvement prioritization matrix. And really what that is a tool to assess cost benefit of various environmental, socioeconomic factors as well as cost. And that would be a way to prioritize our projects prior to submitting our capital budgets. That would be in an ideal scenario, we would do that. But the reality is we're very much being driven by our legal mandates and deadlines. And so those projects are really top of priority. And so that report that was submitted to the EPA was requirement of the AOC. And we had really finished that requirement, probably a year prior to. And so that was just a submission of the result of of running that tool and going through that exercise. And then the idea for submitting the final priority report would be input from one of our current contracts. We have Corollo under contract to develop our facility plans, which will identify so it's kind of updating to our capital improvement inventory and the condition of those assets. And so the idea is that with the final, that information will be pushed into that tool and we'll be able to revise our priorities using that tool. But again, we're under legal deadlines, so that really drives our deadlines. So that's the history of what that report is and the tool that was created, I think, in 2023.
Excellent. Can I ask a follow-up question? In that report, does well, I read the report and it gives a very detailed list of potential projects and projects to be built out in the future of priority. And I guess my question is within that report, does it call out and does it mention the need to look at alternative collection systems outside of gravity-fed lines within these priority areas in order to lower costs? And within that investigation of alternative collection systems, the appropriate training and workforce development in order to manage those systems.
In short, no, it doesn't go into that level of detail. It's specific to our existing assets that we operate and maintain and how we are going to prioritize our capital improvement priorities and budget for those assets.
Yeah.
So within that, I'm so sorry, just one follow-up question for Kelly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Within that, I do see a budget. So I'm curious as to how you arrive on a budget without looking at the type of infrastructure that's being installed.
So that would be something that happens not at this point in the process. That would be incorporated simply because of costs. Chris, do you want to jump in?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So this we as a county should be doing this every year, and we haven't ever. So EPA wants us to start, and this is a start, and it's a huge amount of money, and it's an enormous amount of work. But I think it should be looked at as this is where we're starting. And we did try to look at a few different technologies for each problem, but that really was beyond the scope. The scope here was to say, hey, what is broken and needs fixing, right? And then tally it up and come to a budget number. And you can see from the report, the number is astounding and it's way too high. So as we prioritize which are the most pressing problems based on not only this report, but citizen input and also our facility plans, which really delve into the minutia of how the plant and the collection system is working and how to get it back to where it should be if it's not, and then to maximize the efficiency, reduce costs to get the most amount of people connected and get the sewage treated. So yeah, this is just a first step, And we absolutely are going to go through project by project and figure out, do we need it? Can we roll it into a larger project? Is there a simpler way of doing it? If we do low pressure systems, for instance, how does that impact the total cost, not only the capital cost up front, but the operational costs? And there was something else he said, oh, the personnel, the workforce development. And yeah, that's a big question. We need more staff right now. If we move to something like low pressure systems, then we need to answer some questions like who maintains those systems. And if we do it, we need personnel, we need training, we need equipment. So we're looking at those as this new budget year rolls around, but we won't be fully analyzed until we get a little bit further along here.
Great. I look forward to seeing those updated numbers with more updated technology. I do believe from looking at alternative engineering reports, studies, as well as budgets, I think everybody knows that there's cost savings in collection systems that are outside of gravity fed lines. And I do think that making sure that we are investigating opportunities to lower budgets and address those high costs that you're mentioning in this report, it would be beneficial to look at alternative systems and have that address that astronomical price. Is there any other questions from the commission?
Yeah, I'm just curious
If you state your name, please.
my name is Justin, Commissioner for District 6. So the HB 736 that gives funding to Hilo to, I guess, investigate and pilot new wastewater systems and technologies, that's going to be over 3 years. I'm wondering if these technologies are going to be able to be implemented if they do find new cost-saving technologies within the time frame that we're kind of stuck within with the EPA on these projects. So I'm just kind of curious if new technologies do come available, if our deadline will get extended with the EPA to be able to make adjustments, or, I mean, or are these technologies just for future projects, outside of the ones that were mandated to do by the EPA?
Okay, lots of good stuff in there. And I think Christy's going to touch on how we started reaching out to UH and trying to coordinate efforts and build a kind of an ad hoc group to address some of these giant problems we're facing. And one of them is, hey, considering the individual site, what's the best means for dealing with the wastewater? And that may include on-site treatment and disposal, and may include connecting to our system. So we'll continue to reach out with them, and specifically for that bill, I keep pointing to the screen that you guys can't see where I have it up, but with that bill, yeah, we definitely want to be involved because we want to provide input. We want to understand what they're looking at and try to press upon everyone that you can't just make something up. You've got to make sure that it meets the existing codes. It's got to meet the county code. And if it makes sense, then we need to modify the county code, and certainly might have to modify the wastewater division's standards and details. So we're not working in a vacuum here. We need to work together. Shoot, there was one, with EPA. So, I don't work for EPA. I can't speak for them. But generally speaking, in my experience here and at City and County of Honolulu, they want to see you start, right? You get that project started in design, they breathe a sigh of relief. If the design goes a little bit farther or a little bit beyond schedule because you have design challenges or you want to try something innovative, they don't generally get too upset. And once you start construction, boy, they're really happy. So I don't think EPA would be opposed, but we need to be able to understand the technology that we're proposing sufficiently enough to be able to explain to them how it's going to impact not only the project and compliance deadlines, but also how we're going to be able to operate it in the future. Does it make sense for us and for the county as a whole?
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, let us. Sorry, I was just double checking my agenda. Well, it looks like we will definitely stay up to date with that report, and it does look like maybe there might be an opportunity for the commission to weigh in on some of those priority areas and those priority statuses prior to the December 31st, 2026 date. Excellent. Thank you so much. Agenda item C, update regarding DEM's public communication and engagement. We're about multitasking here.
Aloha, I'm Christy Swafford. I am the Department of Environmental Management's the Information and Education Specialist. And I am also running the laptop that is serving those of you that are online right now. So if you have questions, concerns, or are trying to get in, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait until after mine. It's really good. You can watch it recorded on YouTube every month. All right, so I've been doing a lot of work. The information and education specialist position was new to DEM when I took it. So I'm kind of like a PIO, but I tell everyone I'm a teacher. That's my background. So I believe deeply in public education and in civil service. So my goal is to shed light on what we do in DEM because there's a lot happening behind the scenes to get it in front of you and to make it so that I can gather all of that good stuff up and share it. So here's what I've been doing so far. We have a DEM website, which existed when I came in. But what my goal was to bring awareness to the projects we're doing. So if you visit the DEM website and you go to projects tab at the top, we have dedicated project sites for the Hilo wastewater treatment plant. It went live at the groundbreaking. We have dedicated sites now for Pahala and Nahalehu, and you can track where we're at in that process with the EPA. I've updated the integrated wastewater management plan site with timelines, and I updated it yesterday, getting closer as we bring it to EMC as part of our plan. We even have a solid waste one. Solid waste doesn't take on as traditionally large projects like wastewater, but we have the Lapahoihoi transfer station improvement page. You can check that out. That's a big project for our solid waste friends. And then in progress is that what I want to do is track all of our projects and programs on the website. So that is being built out and seeking approval. We have some campaigns going. I'm working on pre-treatment and fog campaign, working with the the wastewater department to build out an actual campaign. We have a little fog monster. It's adorable and greasy, but also cute. None of that is released yet because it's more in progress while those programs are being built. I'm also working with the cesspool conversion task force, and this is the mayor's task force, but it has a communications plan that you will be seeing very soon. And just know that DEM had a part in what that plan looked like and how we're communicating to the community, what we're going to do regarding to cesspools outside of DEM, just countywide. We've done some outreach. We are very active with coconut rhinoceros beetles right now, especially with the voluntary stop on the west side. You should start hearing commercials, radio ads. I know HPR will go first, and then we're working on the contracts with all the other radio stations that I hope you listen to. And our big dream is to get commercials, like TV commercials in the future. Let's see, we did the Hilo wastewater treatment plant groundbreaking. Mahalo to everyone who came. We had over 100 people. We have A really good press, really positive event, sharing a very much needed rehab of that plant. We got people on site, feet on the ground, taking tours, and then released all of that through our news channels. Let's see, Pahala Nahalehu semi-annual meeting is tomorrow night. So if you're out there, come visit us. We will be at Nahalehu Community Center. Let's see, we did Career Day at Waiakea Elementary, and recently we are working with Waiakea Intermediate Computer Science class, and they are building out a website for us for FOG. Well, the kids have a choice. They can do FOG, toilets aren't trash cans. These are riveting things for 8th graders, you guys. Or they can do Recycle Right, just like building out different examples of websites that the county could have in the vision of kids. And so it's kind of cool. I can't wait to see what they make. And then just so you know, we had no social media before this. And now so I shared this with the mayor too. Instagram, our reach is up 92.6% since January. And I think that's kind of tailing along with the mayor's social media presence. If you've noticed, he's very, very present in social media. And our top post, we have 34K views for our CRB voluntary compliance order post. And we had 8K views for our Hilo wastewater treatment plant rehab posts. And then we sent a backup generator to Hilo Benninghoff Medical Center, and that thing was very popular, 7.6K views. So positive community connections get our most views. We're also sharing when our line crews are out at night doing sewer work. You don't typically see them unless you're Craig. Apparently he was driving around and caught them working. And I was like, give me a picture. And so they were posting that too. And people seem to like those, just being aware that roads might be shut down and our crews are out working and drive safely. Internships were mentioned. We're working with Hilo Community College. We were supposed to meet with them yesterday, but they're starting up and he's new. And he was like, whoa, I cannot meet with you today. We just started and it was way more overwhelming than I thought. So we're going to push that to next week. But I really wanted to share that with you today. And then we are, of course, working with Hilo and trying to get some education into the Work for Water program and helping the folks who are interested in that Work for Water program. That's with Vi. They just like turn on your notifications, simple education things, turn on notifications for when we do a job posting. Because we can take trades helpers into our wastewater program. That's their entry level position, help them get certification for a level 1 and move them up. So that's our goal. It's just provide some education that you can get notifications of when we post jobs. And working with our HR department to make that work. You'll hear from HR later about how much they've been doing and how much work they're doing to get people hired. So I think I'll let them share that good news. All right. That's everything I could possibly think of.
That's wonderful. What a lot of work for one person.
It is. It's just me, and I do solid waste and wastewater.
It's a high need for outreach and communication. So thank you so much. Is there any questions from the commission for Christy? Nope. Thank you so much, Christy. We appreciate you. Okay, the update on the cesspool task force from DEM.
Okay, I can take that one. So the cesspool task force, it's the mayor's task force, not the department's task force, but I am serving as a co-chair on the task force to keep them up to date with what the county is doing with its integrated wastewater management plan. So the task force, the purpose is to update and refine the statewide cesspool working group recommendations and gearing it specifically for Hawaii County. The plan, we're going to write an action plan and identify cesspool conversion projects in at least 3 priority areas, identify resources to initiate planning, design, and construction, and develop an action plan to fund and convert prioritized cesspools by 2030. We've also, Christy mentioned, we've been working with Pa'akai Communications on a communications plan, and that's how we intend to go out into the community to get feedback on the priority areas. And then one thing Christy didn't mention was a campaign she's helping to develop, which has awesome graphics. And the idea is for the water we share, and it will include the work that's being done by the cesspool task force, the county integrated wastewater plan, and then we'll have a aesthetic branding that will carry it on to 2050, when the cesspools are required to be closed. And we'll share that with you at a future meeting when it's ready. And so the task force been meeting. I think we had at least 2 meetings, maybe 3 with the entire task force. The last meeting was a big one. We had our integrated wastewater management plan consultants come and do the presentation of where we're at with drafting the plan to the task force to try and get feedback and update them on the facility plans that we're doing, the monumental amount of work that needs to be done and the costs associated, and how we intend to, move forward, identify funding and prioritize projects. Our intention would be to have a draft in front of EMC. That would be the start of our public review period. Oh, actually, I'm going to skip that because I'm going into the integrated plan. I'll save that for when it comes up on the agenda. Does anyone have any questions regarding the task force?
No. Thank you, Kelly. If there's no questions, we can continue on to the next agenda item.
So this one, updating future agenda items for the Hawaii County Council that relate to DEM function. So we are going to be on the County Council's agenda on September 2nd to request additional appropriations for the Kealakahi R1 project. But I just wanted to share in general how you can stay up to date on when we may or may not be on the agenda, because we really find out the week before, for the most part, unless it's our, item we've requested to be on the agenda. And so to do that, you can just Google Hawaii County Council calendar and look at meeting agendas. It is a bit cumbersome because you have the council calendar and then you have all the individual committees, but that's how that's what we do. And so if
I
you'd
had
like,
a quick question. Is DEM providing regular updates to the county council in regards to the AOCs and the deadlines that they have on a regular basis?
so we haven't been asked officially. We have been recently asked by a council member to give them an update. I believe that's going to happen in November. So we're not on like a regular schedule where we're reporting AOC updates to council.
Oh, okay. It was my understanding that county council was asking for regular updates of AOC action items. But maybe
no, I'm aware of only the request from Michelle Galimba for this coming October and November. I'll have to check the dates.
okay. So maybe October or November, you'll be updating the county council on the AOC.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no further questions, we can go to agenda item F, which is DEM's budget for fiscal year 2026.
Hi, good morning. I'm Robin Bauman, the business manager for environmental management. So our CIP capital improvement project budget for fiscal year 25-26 was approved by the county council. And that is ordinance number 25-46. And that can be found on the council website, the county website, under council records. I don't know if Kelly's able to show that or if you have that capability, but if you go.
Sure, I can do that real quick, jump in. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? I might need Christy to give me a permission. It's not,
Yes.
you can. Oh, okay, so you can see the one here. So this
We
one
can
here.
see your screen. It's challenging to read it, but we can absolutely see
See if I
the
can
Google search.
zoom
Yeah.
in. How's that?
There we go. That's a lot better. Thank you.
Okay, so I Googled Hawaii County capital budget, and I'm going to click on this link right here. So it's under the Department of Finance. And so if you go under budget, we have the operating budget and we have the capital budget. And so this one is, as Robin mentioned, effective this year, July 1st. So I click on the capital budget. And so this is a copy of the ordinance that gets signed into law for these departments. And if you forgive me, I'm going to scroll to DEM. And so this is the overall budget. So federal grants that were received, you can see DEM dash project name. So these are the federal grants we received. These are GeoBond financed. These are our projects. And then if you scroll all the way into DEM section, it will give you the project details. And so when you're looking at, want to see project scope. Oh, okay, I did it perfectly somehow. So this is the DAM's capital budget. You can see the priorities are listed here. It shows the previous year, how it's being funded, prior allotments, this year's request, which gets appropriated, and then the following 6 years just for long-term financial planning. And then let's see. And this is an example of the fiscal impact sheet. And so this is all the project specific information. So this is specifically for the Pahala wastewater system. You can see how much the project costs, what the county is taking into account as it prioritizes, and the funding of that individual project. So you can deep dive, but I'll kick it over to Robin if there's any further questions.
Yeah, so just to kind of go over the budget process, that's something that will be starting for the next fiscal year around November or December. So, between now and then is an ideal time for you to provide any input, things that you would like to see incorporated into the fiscal year 26-27 capital improvement budget. The department prepares our draft that gets reviewed with the planning department and the mayor's office. And then ultimately the mayor will submit his proposed budget to the county council on March 1st. And then that would be the next opportunity for, that would be the first opportunity for you to see the draft budget that's been submitted to council. And that's a great time for you to, give us any feedback you may have. We'll have another chance to submit revisions to that for consideration before the mayor submits his final draft to the county council the beginning of May. So typically in April, the county council will have their special finance committee meetings to review the budgets. And that's an opportunity to provide public input. And then they'll take that into consideration in submitting any revisions to that proposed budget for the May version. Once the mayor submits that May budget to the county council, it's in their hands. So any revisions after that point would be initiated by the county council. And it goes through 2 readings at full council, and it's typically adopted in June. Are there any questions about the budget process?
Hi, thank you. Delotsuka, District 3. When you're talking about the draft and when you're working on the budget, is it possible to send the commission a copy of the draft as it travels to the different tiers? Only because, thank you, Christy, for making the website very accessible, but to go into the website just to look for certain things, when I think we should be given that information, so when we come to the meetings, we're somewhat more prepared with what the report is all about, because I don't have the budget and we couldn't find the budget, so we cannot comment on the budget. So by the time we hear about it, it's already going through the process. So just wondering if it's possible to send us a copy as your draft is going through. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's something, maybe perhaps a link could be sent out once the mayor has submitted that March budget to council. At that point, it's available online. So perhaps something could be sent out at that point.
Okay, thank you.
And for us, it would be helpful if those sorts of things are on the agenda. I don't want us to say yes and we're reporting to everybody and we miss you guys. So if you can help us remember, that would be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, the process absolutely helps to be able to do that. So I appreciate you outlining that for us. Okay, if there's no further questions, we can go ahead and go on to, are we on agenda item G regarding updates? My goodness. Provide update regarding its reporting requirements to the State Department of Health and EPA.
So I think we were a bit confused about what this is specifically requesting. We have a lot of reports that go out to the EPA and DOH as regularly as monthly.
I
Yeah,
believe it's
go ahead.
around the AOCs and the requirements of the AOCs reporting to EPA as the status.
So the reporting depends on the facility, and whether they have permits or they're just regulated under some revised statute or administrative rule. So generally speaking, plants with discharge permits submit monthly discharge monitoring reports, and they contain the results of all the sampling and testing that we do during the preceding month. There are also quarterly spill reports that we send in for any spills that happen at the plant, pump stations, or in the collection system. My favorite is the semi-annual reports, because you do them twice a year. And then there's also an annual report, which is due at the same time as the second semi-annual. So it's always a crush to get that out. And that basically summarizes the entire year of operation at the plant and the collection system. So for the AOCs, we meet quarterly with both US EPA and DOH to go over challenges, successes, and schedules and budgets. And that's just for the wastewater side. So solid waste also has their own permitting and compliance reporting challenges.
Thank you. I see that there is an asset management system report that was due July the 21st of 2025. Was that submitted, or is that somewhere that the commission can find that? It is in regards to the SOPs and framework for supporting the following, such as collection systems, spill response plan, collection systems, preventative maintenance program, and warehouse management.
Yeah, see, everybody else is muted, so I guess that's for me. So we do have an asset management program that the EPA helped us purchase. It's called NextGen. And any maintenance, any problems, any spills, everything gets logged in NextGen. So we can track how things are going, and there's also accountability, right? The reports from the AOC were all submitted. I'm not sure if we have copies of those on the website, but we can get you copies of the reports. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to see it because within those reports, it does address some concerns that we've been speaking about within the commission regarding condition of assessment of gravity sewer lines, cataloging and maintaining a spare parts inventory, and just the formal review and response to the recommendations provided in the final report, including training needs, workforce recommendations, and water efficiency and conservation and rate structures.
Separately, we have a sewer rate study that is crawling towards the finish line. So that will be something that we'll be sharing with you in the
Was
very
that
near
considered
future.
behind under the AOC as that was due on July 1st of 2025 with those components included in the AMS?
Well,
No,
in the asset management system, the rate structure is separate from that. There's no AOC requirement for the rate structure. However, we need to update that periodically to make sure that our sewer fund remains solvent, and we are generating the revenue we need to operate and maintain.
Okay, I'm just referring to the AOC Appendix 1, Item 3, Operation Maintenance, and B. And so this was the reporting that was for July 1st of 2025, and that does include a rate structure within that report.
Yeah, so that's the current rate structure that we have. That's separate from this new one that we're doing. And I can send you copies
Got
of
it.
those
So it's not an
reports.
update. It's not the updated one. It's just the current one
Correct.
that's
Yeah.
under. Thank you for that
And
clarification.
again, Erica, think of this as I don't know if I should say this, but things are so bad, EPA wants us to start doing things, which is discouraging in a sense, but it's also reassuring that they're their attitude isn't to penalize. Their their goal is to bring us up to where we need to be. So part of this is, what are you doing now? So that's why we submitted the existing rate structure. They also know that we're doing a current rate study now, so we can try to get caught up.
Oops, thank you.
Sure.
It is challenging just to keep up to date with all of the reports and reporting. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine your team, and I appreciate your team doing that. We, as the commission, also would like to just keep up to date and be able to offer any input when appropriate and needed. But if there's no additional questions for this, we can move on to the additional agenda items. This is a staffing update. DM will provide updates regarding staffing and recruitment.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
okay. Good morning. My name is Kahula Gwen Lacey. I'm the HR program specialist here at DEM, and I'll be providing a brief staffing update. So year to date, we've filled 22 vacant positions, 10 in the wastewater division, 8 in the solid waste division, and 4 in business services. Currently, 29 positions are in active recruitment, which means the requests to fill have been submitted to the Department of Human Resources. Practical or driving assessments are in progress. Interviews have been scheduled, or the conditional offers have been extended. So we made great strides in our hiring efforts, and we look forward to maintaining this momentum to fill the remaining vacancies and allocate new positions within the department. Thank you.
Hi, Justin, Commissioner District 6. I was just wondering, what methods do you use to recruit, filling these vacancies and all that? Because I know it's an important uh, piece of the puzzle, I guess, to get some of these projects done, especially the big solid water, systems in. So I'm just curious, like, how the county goes about recruiting for these positions.
Well, there's, various methods. So like as Christy mentioned earlier, she's coordinating with, UH Hilo's Work for Water program to kind of guide interested individuals on how to receive notifications when entry-level positions like in the wastewater division are posted on the county website. So interested individuals, they can go to the county website and check off, various positions that they would be interested in, and then they get an email notification once that position is posted. We have reached out to our recruitment and classification division to help assist us with recruiting for civil engineers, which has always been a challenge. So we have postings on the ASCE Hawaii website to potentially reach qualified engineers. We do, if we're having difficulty hiring certain positions, we will take a look at the minimum qualifications and see whether or not they can be revised so that we can, hopefully have a wider pool of candidates. But ultimately, we post the positions that are vacant. They're actually screened. The applicants are screened by the Department of Human Resources, the recruitment and examination division, and then they give us a list of eligible names.
Great. And then the follow-up question would be, I know that especially with the civil engineers, pay has been kind of a limiting factor. And, does DEM have flexibility and increasing, some of the salaries to, get top candidates and attract top candidates, and also, outside of the civil engineers, just, general labor and all of that, is there flexibility for maybe increasing those to make those jobs more attractable in the future?
Yes, we do have the flexibility to do that if there's a position that's difficult to fill. We just need to communicate that to the Department of Human Resources and request for approval. And so it's definitely possible to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Kaula, this is Del from District 3. I want to thank you and Christy for making strides in hiring. I do have a few questions though. As far as streamlining the hiring process, you are doing that. I looked on the website yesterday and there were 62 positions open in the county. But of those 62, there were only 5 for the DEM. So, and only 1 for an operator, equipment operator, and that was in Waimea, and 1 sewer maintenance repair person in Kona, none for Hilo. So I'm just wondering, how is that going? You know, I've asked before for the total amount of vacancies within the department in wastewater and solid waste. So, again, thank you for what you've done, but all I'm saying is when I looked on the website, there were only 5. So, there are more, but positions from your numbers, there should be 65 vacancies within your department. And this is only based on last year's numbers, and the current one you gave with filling 22, that means 65 minus an engineer. So I'm just wondering, it's good to know for me, especially, I know there's a problem filling positions and, you know, operation hours have been changed, some have been modified. So I'm just saying, asking that with the amount of vacancies still open, you know, are you streamlining it? How many are in the wastewater? How many are in the solid waste?
So a lot of the positions prior to going out to open recruitment, we do internal recruitment to give our current employees promotional opportunities. So you wouldn't be able to see those when you go onto the county website. So like, for example, you know, currently we're recruiting for 5 equipment operators in Hilo, but they all would go internal. So that's something that you wouldn't see. We have recruited and hired for assistant wastewater treatment operators in Kona. So we hired actually 2 this year in Kona. The Hilo wastewater treatment plant currently only has 1 vacancy for a working supervisor, which we put out the request to fill. So it hasn't gone to the website yet. So they're actually pretty much fully staffed. We just have 2 employees out on long-term leave in addition to that vacancy.
Thank you. So the 22 that you said have been filled are probably internal movement?
No, they're not all internal. There are a few promotions. But for let's say wastewater, we've hired, like I said, 2 assistant wastewater treatment plant operators. We've hired a civil engineer 2, an electrician, a sewer maintenance repair, a sewer maintenance supervisor 2, which was an internal as a promotion. So there's various, you know, positions in both divisions that went internal and open that we filled.
Oh, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, I know with Papaico and Pipikale, their facilities were only manned by 1 person. So are those positions going to be looked at to add to that?
Yeah, so we do have positions that are in the budget that we can allocate. So create a new position. So we do meet, you know, weekly to go over priorities and which positions we feel should be allocated first.
Oh, okay. So then I guess I need to understand, there were only 1 operator at each station. So should there not be more than 2?
The operations side, I would defer to the acting chief, Chris Lottie, with regards to the staffing. I'm not sure about how many operators are assigned to each treatment plant or pump station.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As always, great points you bring up. So if you look at our existing structure as it is, and I think we can all agree that it's woefully understaffed. We're looking pretty good.
I think that you're either mute or Chris, are you speaking to us in this room?
Yeah.
Or trying to? I'm
Can you hear me
sorry.
now? Okay, sorry.
Not,
I leaned
it's a
forward
very
or
weird,
leaned
it's like you're
back.
being It's like you're coming from another location.
I am.
Are you-
No, I was saying that, yeah, these are, as always, great points you bring up. Um, our current our current staff that we've had forever at our wastewater treatment plants, and you see the condition they're in, we're full. So the step now is to start looking at, well, what do we actually need at each plant? We need more than one operator at each plant, right? Because they accrue vacation, they need to take it, they get sick, they need to be at home, right? You can't just have one person. So I've already started talking with the directors on we need to take a holistic approach at the facilities that aren't being updated. And as the facilities that are getting updated, as their operation and maintenance plans get updated, there'll be a new update for the personnel required. And also keep in mind that we have two more plants, Pahala and Naalehu, that are getting ready to start up, and we need staff for those as well. So yes, we need more staff. Um, it is it is like two different animals hiring white collar versus blue collar. So Kahula mentioned that we just hired an engineer too, and I believe well, there's a lot of work on Kahula's part and her staff to get the position advertised and to get the candidates in. But I think between the time we interviewed and made the selection and the guy showed up at work was maybe a month. So it can happen very quickly. For blue collar, it's a little different because we must provide an avenue within the county for people who come in at a lower level to advance. And we want to promote that. And we've started, oh, I think I'm supposed to talk about this later, but we started an education and training program specifically for the operators, but for people in general who want to learn more math or how to write, how to interview, so that when these internal promotional opportunities come up, then there is a real opportunity for these people to advance up.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing, sorry. And I'll get yelled at for this, but from my vantage, this administration has done more in the first 8 months than the past did in 4 years. We've hired so many people.
Thank you. Yes, I know. I've been bringing up staffing for a few years now.
Yes, thank
So,
you.
So yeah, I did visit the stations, the facilities, which is why I'm more so concerned about the safety, because at both Kulaimano and Papaiko, there was only one person, and they're there all day. And so if there's any emergencies or anything comes up, there is nobody, and nobody to call because there's nobody. And then I understood that after I did visit Kulaimano, the only operator there had fallen. And I don't know what happened after that. So I'm just concerned that for now it's okay to run it the way it is because it's always been that way. But we should seriously consider staffing them. And I've mentioned it before too about thank you going to the university, community college, the high schools. But there's also like Alulike and Ultras. I brought that up before. And I've talked to them.
Yes.
So they've had people come to the county, not in the DEM department, but Parks and Rec and the planning department. So I'm just saying, we still need to fill a lot more positions. Maybe we can start there and they can come in at entry level and do your educational with the people that
Yes.
are already in. So, thank you. I have seen progress. I appreciate that.
I think you're right. It's going to be at least two approaches here. Try to find qualified people, but then that may take some time. So bring in helpers, bring in assistants and train them. And that works for the white collar staff as well. We're not going to find a high level engineer in wastewater. We're going to have to train one. So we need to bring them in at whatever level we can and consciously train them, get them professionally developed, send them to seminars, and white collar folks and the blue collars, right? They need to get out there and talk to their professional community.
Thank you. One more thing, before I forget. As I was looking through the job vacancies, and they have a scale attendant in Pu'anu'u. And when I broke it down, when we talk about offering better wages for engineers, you know, these scale attendants, they can do a little better than what they're getting. From what I saw, it's like $18.84. So, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but just the estimate of the annual salary, that's what it broke down to. So I'm just saying maybe we can, you know, I'm sure everybody wants to work for the county who isn't working. So 1884 is a good starting, but I'm just Pu'anu, that's a long drive. So I'm thinking maybe we can up that, you know, salary for them. I think they get overlooked a lot. So something to consider. Thank you.
Yeah, there are a few positions that I look at personally and wonder, well, how is that supposed to work? How are you supposed to survive on that? And then it's further complicated because if you get a good person, they're not going to stay in that position. There's no advancement. So you're constantly cycling people through these positions. And I agree. I think we need to take a look at it. And this is something Kahu and I have started talking about, how to brainstorm about how to make these positions more substantial with, of course, more salary, but also more responsibility, room for advancement. It's a challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin, Commissioner for District 6. Just one kind of follow-up question to that is, how has employee retention been over the past year? And yeah, just kind of what your insights would be into that, into, you know, after you hire people, keeping them on. And, you know, as I just heard, you said they're kind of cycling in and out of positions, you know, so is there a kind of a strategy there moving forward? And I mean, you know, even if they're cycling in and out of positions, if they're still staying within the county or within, you know, wastewater or solid waste, that seems like a good thing that they're still working for the county. But yeah, just kind of curious on your insights on that before we move on.
Okay, I see I'm the only one who's not muted, so I guess that's me. Yeah, employee retention is it's one of the biggest challenges and also the biggest rewards if you have people who stay with the county or even better stay in wastewater. You gain that institutional knowledge that they have acquired over the years. We try to do things here like rotate people around so they're not stuck in the same position. For white collar, that's pretty easy to do. For the blue collar, it's a little more challenging sometimes. Also sending them to different parts of the island to report so they're not always going to the same place. We you know, operations, we do pretty good job. The collection system folks are pretty stable. We have trouble with engineers. I mean, I'm the last one left. Me and Amelia are the only engineers, and then we just hired an engineer too, which is more of an entry level engineer. So we have some work to do.
And then I can add to that if you'd like.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of, you know, promotional opportunities. The positions, like the civil engineer position that we hire for, it's actually a 4. So it's difficult to find a 4. So we recruit at multiple levels, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we try to find the most qualified candidate. In this situation, he was a 2. But once he gets experience over time, he can be eventually reallocated up to a 3 and then up to the true position, which is a 4. And then I think we touched on this last meeting with regards to the wastewater operators. If they start out as an assistant, once they gain that experience, they can test to get their license. And once they provide proof of their license, we automatically reallocate them to that license level.
Yeah.
So that helps with retention. And then on the solid waste side, all of our solid waste facility attendants, we offer a CDL training program, or they can go out and obtain that license and be reimbursed by the county, and then they can apply for the equipment operator 3 position. So they have options like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions from the commission? All right, we really appreciate that update on staffing. Looks like you guys are doing a lot of work. Thank you for that. I am going to take this moment to take a break. We can reconvene in 5 minutes. Does that sound good? Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. We'll see you back in 5 minutes. Okay, we welcome everybody back to the Environmental Management Commission on the 27th. We did have one request. We're moving on to item I, Solid Waste Division updates. There was a community testimony that was supposed to be heard at the beginning of this agenda item and was overlooked. So if I have the name, one moment, I'm sorry. Sharon Landry, did you have a testimony to provide for solid waste item agenda I? Okay, if you could go ahead and please come up and just state your name. And again, the agenda item, if you get it.
Aloha, my name is Sharon Landry. I'm representing Healing A Alliance, which is my 501c3. We're a humanitarian group that we've been collaborating with our community and stuff.
Do you mind speaking into the mic just a little bit, just so the folks online can also hear?
Thank you. Okay, and so I've been looking into solid waste and what can we do as a community. And I've been coming across pyrolysis oil reactors. And so then I started researching those. And I've come across a lot of information that I think would be very beneficial for our community as well as our state. And I started working on that with a task force. And then I wanted to know if you folks were familiar with this Senate Resolution 85. It's to put a task force together for the pyrolysis oil and research. And so I've done a lot of that, and I think I can contribute a lot to this program. And then what I did, just to make this a little bit shorter, is I took our county development plan for 2045, and I went through it, highlighting the areas where we could assist the county and the state, even if we leave this in the private sector. So I just wanted to see how we could go about getting this implemented and bringing in that reactor. I know that we have 3 permanently closed landfills here on the island. I know that there's another one getting ready to be closed. I know that Honolulu is in trouble with theirs, over 200 acres. They're getting ready to shut that one down. So what we do is we take the solid waste plastic and we turn it into pyrolysis oil, and we resell it to other companies such as Shell and Exxon and a lot of other folks. There's a community education component to this, where we help to educate the community and the businesses that are going to become corporate social responsible, which is your CSRs. And I started researching from the United Nations down to the federal government and down to the state, and now I'm at the county. So I just wanted to see how we could get that going. And I'd be happy to sit on this task force. Do we know anybody that's on this yet?
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with any, yeah.
There's no signatures on it. It just came out 2 months ago, I think, from the Department of Health. I've already pulled the application for the process, and I've started working on that.
Right. So the Department of Environmental Management, our purview is strictly related to county department. I'm sorry, the commission, Environmental Management Commission, our purview is strictly related to the County of Hawaii DEM. So anything related to the state agencies would have to be, you would have to direct those questions to the state agency.
Well, I've started up there, just kind of living in Hawaii on the Big Island. So I wanted to start here and see where we can go with this. Because I imagine it's going to take all of us to get this in here and to get some kind of control over the plastic waste.
Absolutely. If you would like to discuss it further or
I would.
potentially have a presentation for the commission.
Okay, yeah, well, that was kind of what this was, but I wasn't sure how much time I was going to have available for this.
We just have 3 minutes for testimony today, and it's just testimony on the agenda items specifically related to the agenda for today, which is the item I, solid waste division updates.
Okay, well, you're updated now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, if we could have the update from DEM for solid waste.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Mike Rivera, the Solid Waste Division Chief for Solid Waste. And I can give you a quick update on items solid waste have completed in the last couple months and what we're planning on working on here in the future, okay? So La Poi Hoi, that's a project where we're updating the retaining wall. That is project is on schedule for completion. The contractor right now is backfilling against the wall there, and we gotta move the reuse center that's existing there back to the left and then do some paving. So hopefully by the February of next year, that project will be complete. Out at Waihino, we have to complete some hiring processes for a equipment operator and a supervisor out there. Once that is completed, we'll add an additional day of service for that transfer station out there. I've been working with the KAU group out there to see to try to nail down what the proper day is for that facility out there. And once then there's some logistics that we have to do to work around Ocean View and Pahala to get that, make sure we're all in cahoots, I guess, per se. Once that's done, we'll look at, as a division, moving around a couple of the current transfer stations to Ka'u, so you make it even and create that as a base yard for the island. So each of the base yards will have 5 facilities at least under their jurisdiction. Right now, Ka'u only has 3. So that by adding a couple more to their logistics, it'll even it out. And that's why we have a slight delay with the hiring process to make it even out there. So once that's done, we'll complete the modification of the chute and the canopy area over there, and they'll be ready to go as a full-fledged base yard. And then as the volume increases up there, we'll continually look at service days as we move along. At the Puanahulu landfill out there, we just completed a scale demo of the old scale house or scale area there just last week. And the county, our group, Public Works, as well as our group, have helped the state out there with the CRB removal at the airport. Just to give you an idea, we removed 1,800 cubic yards or 290 tons of the green waste over to Wehoff at the landfill there. That was quite a big project. There's some more out there on the west side that we will help the state and our public works folks on removing that material out there. A couple more. At Pahoa, the transfer station out there, there was some damage to the fire department connection hose or the hydrant area. So that was repaired. Papaiku, we completed the erosion control project that was out there. That looks actually pretty nice out there. We still have some tree trimming work to do at that facility. At Honokaa, we did complete the tree trimming project at that facility. So that's looking pretty good out there. So the safety aspect is increased. I want to give our abandoned vehicles a plug in here. So for the last quarter, they've removed about 100 vehicles from the Vehicle Disposal Assistance Program. And for the last 3 months, we have a lot of cars out there, but they've removed 337 abandoned vehicles in the last 3 months around the island. For our recycle folks, we had a couple of household hazardous waste events that were held in August. One was in Kona and the other was in Hilo. So those were pretty successful. I think Hilo had over 600 cars and it was almost 500 cars or residents vehicles at the Kona facility. So pretty heavily populated. Future projects that we're working on that are still like in the paper aspect is updating Kelikehi, the transfer station there, and make that more of a project. We have a site to clean up as well as future modifications there, as well as taking a look at the Ocean View site and making some modifications with that. I saw number 2, the landfill siting. That's an initial conversations here with our staff at environmental to look at the processes there, development commission and all that to get that ready. So we were working on that a few years ago. It was pushed to the side. And then that's come to the forefront again. So that'll be addressed here in the coming months. And that's it. I'm willing to take any questions if you have any.
I'm sorry. Hi, Mike. Del Otsuka, District 3. Thank you. Good to see you back. I do have a question about the project, the solid waste system operational analysis that was supposedly should have been at least, we should have been given some kind of notice in October of last year. And so the last we heard from the other administration that they didn't have the report yet. There was something wrong with it that they had to send it back to the consultant. So do you have the status on where that's at?
Yeah. Presently, there's one more review. I've actually seen it, and we are going to have a conversation with the group that developed that plan for one more update. Our group, or the internal team here, has some more concerns with it in terms of just language. And once that gets finished, it'll be ready for, I guess, digression to everybody here. I've read most of it already and have the same, just if they're not concerns, they're just language, it's just cleaning up the language.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Hi, Justin, Commissioner for District 6 in Ka'u. I have a couple questions relating to both 1 and 2. For 1, to get me up to speed, establishing a base yard in Ka'u, what does establishing a base yard entail, and like what does that mean, I guess?
Well, it has all the services to it, right? So you have high five, you have some recycling. It's the facility itself's been modified. But you still have the old, it's just through an old chute system. So what needs to be done is either complete the chute area so it can handle, it was developed to handle a walking floor, which is an open top truck. Right now, we're still using the old compactors like it was for the chute on the upper area. So once that is retrofitted to what it was, then we'll have almost 4 to 6 lanes for that whole pad area, depending on the size of the vehicle, of course. And then they can constantly go over the side. The decision, I know when I met with the folks there, was do we have the folks dump on the concrete pad and we push it over like we do in Hilo, or do we modify that wall to make it look like Lapahoihoi, which is up when they can just continue to throw over the site. So that's the discussion. We had meetings with a consultant actually last week on that. What would it take to make it look like Lapahoihoi, which is not very much, but then it would be easier because the volume out there doesn't, if it had the helo volume, we could you'd throw it on the floor and they can keep going. The traffic wouldn't stop. But because of the volumes that you see out there in Kau, you can have continue to throw over the wall and not affect the traffic flow out there. And it's that's what we're looking at right now. And then after that, it's ready to go. It's just a matter of getting the extra 2 walking floors of trucks and then adding a couple more the transfer stations, which will actually help Hilo in their quest to fill positions so they can do the long haul over to Kona. So there's it's a little bit of logistics there. And then that becomes the base yard. It's already kind of a base yard now. It's just, it's not like what you see at Hilo or Waimea or even Kona. So it's there, but it needs a little bit more, I guess.
Gotcha. And those new positions that you wanted to hire in Waikino, are those posted and are under active recruitment?
I believe not we have to work on the working supervisor. That's what's missing there.
Working supervisor.
Yeah, they have 2, I believe, position. And once that's done, we'll be ready to go.
Additional day. Great. And then I guess on more of a thought experiment for the landfill, because I've been working with Alex White for the past couple of years, and so just I guess throwing out, I know these numbers aren't exact, but from I guess the knowledge, we've got about 15 years left on our landfill in Waikoloa currently at the rate, or we're at about 600 tons a day. Does that seem about?
Yeah, 15, I would say 15 to 18
15
years.
to 18.
It's about.
So, what I've been thinking of is are there ways that we can extend the life of the landfill through diversion efforts? And I know that the green waste diversion program has been pretty highly successful, the mulch program and all of that. Looking at some of the numbers that I know that the county hasn't done a waste characterization study since 2008, I believe.
Actually, that'll be done here in conjunction with the state folks starting in February, and then another the second one in May.
Oh, that'll
be
coming
complete,
down the pipeline. So
in 2026.
So that would help because I mean, looking at the other characterization studies on the other islands, it's looking like, typically we're seeing about anywhere from 20 to 35% organics going into the landfill right now, give or take. On Kauai, they had about 10.5% food waste going in there. I'm not sure what our food waste is in that organic stream on our island here in Hawaii, but just doing some rough numbers, if we were to reduce the 600 tons a day by maybe 30 or 40%, that could give us an extra 10 years on the landfill.
At least.
So
if we can increase diversion there's 3 materials that go into that landfill that can be diverted out. One is recyclables, actually, which is almost about 20% go into that landfill. You have another 25% of the tonnage per day of C&D, which is construction and demo
debris
that can be taken out of the landfill. So if you just plus the organics part of it, I think I was just messing around with numbers. It's say if it's a 600-ton landfill, you take out that diversion, you're down to 300 tons to 350. So there's a lot of work. It's easy to talk all that, but it's to get to there. That's what can happen. So by doing that, you actually will add another 15, 20 years without doing anything other than diversion. So it's a big goal, though. We have to get there, but you can do it.
And I guess that's kind of where I'm going is because, the numbers that I've been throwing out with Alex or that we've been talking about is like at least $500 million we're talking about to probably site and spec a new landfill. Does that seem at least maybe $500 million, maybe more? So, in thinking about deferred cost, if we can defer siting or building a new landfill another 10 or 15 years, just running some numbers, if that $500 million were to sit in a 2% treasury, that's over like 115 million dollars that we would save just by deferring it, or putting that money somewhere else to generate more money. So I guess where I'm going with this is there ways that the county, knowing that we could get a savings by diverting and by extending the life of the landfill, is there money in the budget over the next few years to implement technologies and new systems to increase our diversion rates, knowing that we will save that money over the long run? So, for me, it's kind of like, well, maybe spend $30 or $40 million now to save us several hundred, a couple hundred millions down the road. So I'm curious to see, maybe this is another agenda item for a future committee hearing here, but I'm curious to see what the county is looking like, because I know with in-vessel composting units, we're seeing at a school in Kau, they're diverting a lot of food waste from their cafeteria. You think about that across every school in the county. That's quite a lot of organic diversion. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious, are there pilot programs in the works, or, what's, kind of what your take is on that, I guess.
We haven't gotten that far yet, but that in discussions with Alex and that recycle group and Chris, we have discussed, what can we do to increase diversion? It just hasn't made it to what you would like to see for pilot programs, or how do you budget that out, and how do you get the monies for that? But it's there for the taking for sure, whether you're doing in-home composting units. I know I've been associated with that with a few other cities, and those are very successful in taking out. With the wastewater plant, you can use that in conjunction with anaerobic digestion. That helps with the food waste. So there's a lot of things that can happen, but we just haven't gotten that off the ground. I think we're more focused on the actual operations, and just staffing, which has been a struggle here.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of where, how can we necessarily break out of the status quo and implement these new things? Because I mean, I know one of the things is that the regulations with DOH and food waste are pretty strict. So there's, I guess, it prohibits, I guess, community composting at scale, things like that. So is this something that DEM might be able to work with DOH on, is to potentially regulate organic waste as an agricultural commodity, rather than as a, Department of Health, almost like a biohazard type.
Biohazard.
Yeah, exactly. And is that something that DEM might be able to work with the state with?
That I don't know, but it's worth taking a look at. Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can say from the wastewater side, I've started to have conversations with Mike and his staff about these things. We contribute a lot of wastewater sludge to the landfills. We could certainly work towards producing high enough quality biosolids that we can compost it. And then now we have not green waste, we have actual mulch that would be beneficial. We've also, when I was at CCH, we started to implement composting operations for the hotels, right? Because they produce a lot of food waste. So yeah, we have interest. We work well with solid waste, and we'll continue to develop these ideas. It was interesting, the young lady who brought up the pyrolysis, because one of the byproducts of that is biochar, and if we had a consistent supply, then it makes sense to look at that as an innovative treatment technology for wastewater. We can use that to create biocells to treat the wastewater. But yeah, give us a few. We'll get there.
You go ahead. Thank you. Mike, I was just wondering, although, we're talking about deferring another landfill, we still have to talk about looking into having another landfill, right? Because it takes at least 10 years from what I was told to get it prepared. So while we're deferring all of this, we still should be planning to look for land for another landfill, right? And a couple of things too, and I know it's not popular, but Pohakaloa, from what I understand, has a incinerator. And nobody likes it, but they use it. So maybe we can divert some stuff up there, not a lot, but enough that they can take, that can help us. And another thing, not to that, but you mentioned the reuse center. Is that something that you folks take care of? No?
No, it's another group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only because, it's kind of sad because I go there every so often, I drop stuff off. And I've picked some really nice outdoor furniture from there, but I just went there and there's no covered canopies for that. And it's nice patio furnitures were out in the rain, I mean, getting damaged. And I'm looking across in Gila and there's another canvas canopy that nobody's using. And I know it doesn't look so great, but somebody can just run a pressure washer through both canopies and have it look at least more inviting because, that's a good service. And
Yeah,
I
I did.
support them.
I didn't mention it, but trying to update the reuse centers
Okay,
is
yes.
on the list with the Kelikehi Ocean View and working with the Tanya Recycling to
Good,
get
thank you.
updated containers or a building there for we recognize the canopies over there aren't in the best of shape at the reuse center, so it's on our agenda for
Good,
the next budget year.
thank you. Yeah, they can pressure wash them maybe and at least help.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the solid waste update. I just had one final kind of question. The coconut rhinoceros beetle, how has the management of that been going? And are you folks working at all with BISC in trying to manage that within the solid waste and green waste diversion?
Yeah, all we're doing as the county is hauling it for them, so the state is actually handling the treatment of it, fumigation, tenting of it, and then we just haul when it's ready to be, whenever it reaches temperature, and then we take it to WEHOF for them to mulch it.
Is anybody testing that, or just like, is there a process that is in place to try to minimize? I hear that you're spraying and trying to minimize that, but could you go into about how we're trying to address the spread of CRBs?
Yeah, so Craig Hauguchi, Deputy Director, Environmental Management. So we do have a contract with BISC and we call it a dog that sniffs. So we're gonna start looking at the transfer stations, the green waste facilities, and then use them to check our facilities. And then if needed, then we go out to probably like homes and hotspots.
That's very cool. I've actually seen that pup during the Hawaii HCC, the Hawaii, what is it? Conservation Conference. Thank you. And that's a super cool idea. I think that that's great that they're using them. I have a pointer who would like training, please.
Oh, what was that? Oh,
A German short-haired
Okay.
pointer. They're good bird dogs. Thank you so much for that. I hope that you folks continue to work with this and try to manage that invasive species.
So we have that along with what Christy's working on with outreach.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, we're going to be moving on to agenda item J, wastewater division updates.
Okay, so we talked about the orders of consent a little bit on the 25 and 26 deadlines. So generally speaking, we're meeting all of those. We do have challenges. One is funding, of course. And the two KAU collection system and treatment plants are going to be behind schedule. EPA is aware, but they are challenging projects. So we are started installing collection system in Pahala. The treatment plant portion of it just went out for bid, and I think the bid period closes in September. And then we're trying to wrap up the design for the collection system and the treatment plant in Naalehu. So one of the options in Naalehu to try to reduce costs is looking at the low pressure systems for the collection system. Was there a specific AOC requirement that you guys had questions on? And I apologize, I did not have time to really prepare for this section of the meeting.
I just was going through the AOCs and I was seeing several updates that were either kind of between this the end of 2024 that spanned through the beginning of 2026. And I understand you folks have so much going on. If there's any support that the commission can offer in getting those reports, on time and done, you have us at your disposal.
Thanks. One thing I could say is that we don't seem to have a policy and procedure for sharing information with you guys. And that's something we discussed the last time DEM met. And I think we're going to come up with some suggestions and requests on how we share information. Because some of it may not be quite ready for public release. It's draft. So we want to be able to get your input, but we don't want to break that development period where we're still thinking about things. But I think we can give you general issues like this Act 60, right? We can share that with you and give you some background and solicit your thoughts on it. We can certainly do things like that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. Dell from District 3. And along that, because our role as commissioners, have to be reminded it's in an advisory capacity.
Yeah.
It's good to know the things that we should be advising on with projects and things that you folks have that you want to communicate to us. I think something that will help us be able to just advise on those before they proceed on. I mean, it's hard to sit at the meetings and have it given to us and we had no input because
Yes. This is a problem, right? You
Thank
don't
you.
have the background information you need to advise.
Right.
And
Thank you.
and we don't want us or you to be overburdened by the communication. So we need to come up with a way to streamline and figure out how to get you the information you need.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm more than happy to meet with you folks also if you wanted to brainstorm on processes in order to do that. I'm happy to have those conversations.
Awesome. The other thing I see on here is the Kahaluu cesspool study, south end of Ali'i Drive. And I think I just saw a draft of the first part of that study, which was to take a look at how much of a nightmare it's going to be to do any construction in that area. And it's going to be a nightmare because there are a lot of cultural, historical artifacts in that area. So I don't know how much more I can say about that. We're having internal discussions this week and next. So we may have, I'm not sure the direction we're going. But I can say, personally, for me, that just screams a low pressure system because you minimize the amount of excavation, you, you minimize the amount of land you're disturbing. But it still may be very, very challenging to get construction done in that area.
Yes, I actually just saw an article regarding the concern of EV Kapuna and the cesspool conversion rule. And that was just actually came across my desk this past week with a lot of concern about what that law could potentially mean for disruption of those EV. So I'm grateful that you have a pulse on that and that you folks will continue to look into those concerns as you also try to tackle the conversion itself. For Kahalu'u, I did have a question in regards to your consultant and the community engagement component of that contract. I've heard from several community members concerns of a little bit of a siloed work regarding that study, and they were hoping to be able to be engaged at some point to provide input to that report. And I was just wondering if you folks are, or maybe not DEM themselves, but is the consultant planning on engaging the Kahalu'u and that community? And then how is that information and engagement going to be integrated back into that plan?
All these great questions here. From my vantage point, I need to read the work that the consultant's done thus far to really understand the implications of potential projects, right? And then once I get a good feel for what may be possible, then, and I believe the consultant does have some public meetings in their budget, but if they don't, we need to have some with the community and make some of these hard decisions. I mean, any way you look at it, it's going to cost money. How do we acquire and spend that money? Depending on how you get the money, like we've had projects where we look at getting federal money and we look at what's involved, and it adds years to the project schedule. It adds tens of millions of dollars to get the clearances that you need for these federal funds. So we need to have a series of discussions with the community and figure out what works best for everybody. On areas on the coast, I think they definitely need to be hooked up to a centralized collection system. There's no soil, you're right on the water table, and the time it takes for the wastewater to reach the ocean is minutes or hours, right? But if you go upland, like Hamakua Coast, where you've got 10 feet of clay soils, I think we need to have the discussion with DOH on why are we converting these cesspools? We're spending a lot of money to try to convert these, and are they a proper individual wastewater system? Does it provide any benefit over the cesspool? Right. Maybe we should take a little bit longer look at it and see how can we collect and treat wastewater from these areas instead of just jumping right into convert over to septic tank. Anyway, my soapbox for the day.
Well, I do hope that the studies that we're spending millions of dollars on will help address those questions, because I do believe that it's not just a matter of converting cesspools or addressing sanitation, but actually using it as an opportunity to address the back end of wastewater, which is reuse, and looking at water as a resource that is to be treasured and kept for future generations. So hopefully the studies that are underway right now will actually address some of the points that you are making, Chris, in looking at the benefit of protection to our coral reefs, protection to our shorelines, which protect all of our infrastructure. I think maybe a better question is what are the consequences of no action? And what are the consequences of not updating these systems and taking care of proper sanitation?
Oh, hi, Chris, Dell, District 6, 3.
Dell.
Um, so with the new design, or in the discussion of making a design, was there any talk about reclamation of the water? I mean, having a facility that can do that rather than having it go to the pool pump station and outfall?
Wait, are we talking about the Kahaluu or?
No, we're talking about Kilkaha and the design for the wastewater facility here in Hilo.
I'm sorry, can I just, we're wrapping up. I would love to include, maybe an update for Keaukaha next time. I'm happy to do that. We have 20
Okay.
minutes, and if we could just focus on the last two or current agenda items.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I can say real quick that, in my mind, it irks me that we spent billions of dollars collecting and treating the wastewater, and then we just throw it away. It's like that's the most expensive water on the planet. We need to not throw it away. And if we just use that water to like irrigate a fire break on the west side, right? So when the next wildfire comes, it bumps up against this lush green strip that we've created, and it doesn't advance any further. That's a win. Getting people used to using reuse water is going to be a challenge, and it's something we need to do and we will do. So when we look at any of our plants, we are looking at, hey, how can we reuse the water? How can we avoid just throwing it away? And this is going to be important with that Act 60. There's some nuances in there that I think we need to take a look at and plan for.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jim Bates, District 1. Yes, we completely agree with that, or at least I completely agree with what you just said, Chris.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of that for the reuse is that's also going to be income, which is desperately needed to pay for these facilities. So we really need to be thinking about that.
Yeah, and it may not be, hey, we made $1 million from selling R1, but you get don't discount the value added aspect. Maybe we create R1 and maybe we give it away to local rancher who now has water for his livestock. Maybe we provide it for the papaya farmer who now doesn't have to buy fertilizer because the treated R1 wastewater has more nutrients in it than potable water would have, right? So
And I think that's creating a client base, right?
Yes, yes. And I think if you start there, then once you use up all the R1 and people say, hey, I want some of that R1, that's good stuff. You can say, oh, well, we don't have any more. Now you can start charging. But yeah, start small, think regionally, plan, execute.
And one other thing, Chris, I know we mentioned earlier, the request for our review on the pretreatment. How will we receive that?
So right now I have I was acting chief, started the pretreatment program, and then I stepped down. Now I'm back. Can't get rid of me. So I've revamped the pretreatment ordinance to simplify it, make it clearer, and then I've added a new ordinance, or sorry, they're new sections of the county code. So there's a new section on the fog control program. So I sent those to my staff here, the ones that I have, and we've taken a look at it. We've made some edits. So now I just need to incorporate all those, check it one more time, and then I'm not sure the process at that point. So I'm thinking that we'll once my directors say, yeah, run with it, because we need to get running. We're behind schedule here. Then it'll go to you guys, and it may be concurrently to you guys and county council to look at the same time. So,
Yeah, thank you.
and I just want to be clear for the pretreatment program. There's you guys are welcome to review it, make comments, but I'm just making it what is federally required and what the state's going to require of us. So there are not a lot of options in there. My philosophy is give me the maximum amount of tools I can have to gain compliance from the industrial users, and that's what's going to be in it. The fog program is very short. The meat and potatoes is going to be in the policies and procedures. So you'll get an option to weigh in on those.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, if there's no further questions on those items, we can go ahead and move. I'll pause for a sec before I move right in. Okay, it looks like we can go on to the integrated wastewater management plan and updates regarding that.
Sure. No huge updates. We're still looking at receiving a draft. We anticipate the draft this fall. And we're looking at a final draft around the beginning of next year, 2026. We recently presented the integrated plan data to both the administration and the cesspool task force. We are going to initiate a public review period this summer, hopefully. That would start with the EMC, go to council committee and the public. We have to figure out how we're going to do this in time with the cesspool task force's public outreach and education as well. We need to make sure we're not confusing residents with, two separate messages. We need to kind of be in lockstep. This is what the county's doing. This is what the county is committing to in the integrated plan. And this is what the county wants to do in the future, regarding state legislation, future policy changes. That will be more the realm of the cesspool task force. And so we're figuring those things out, and we'll be recruiting you all, your help, because we need some direction on what our priorities are going to be.
Excellent. Are you folks also within all that collaboration that you just mentioned with the county? Are you directly engaging and working with DOH as they also streamline their prioritization tool for conversion, as well as address the cesspool conversion from DOH?
So we have met with UH, I think they're with the Sea Grant, Chris
Schuler.
Chris Schuler. Yep, we've had 1 or 2 meetings with them, and let them know what our position is that we're not releasing our integrated plan data to them before it's finalized and the public receives it. We've spent much money on this plan. We have public review period. Again, we don't want to send mixed messages at the state level before the county finalizes its plan. And so we did let Chris and his team know that they are on our stakeholder list. They will be notified at the same time the EMC, the public, the council committee has access to that draft plan for review and comment.
Okay. Can I just like a order of operations question is how does the county DEM work with um researchers that are under legislative action? So Chris Schuler is putting together and has worked with the prioritization of cesspool conversion, and that's what he's doing as under a legislative act. And so I would hope that our county would support that process, but I'm wondering how Chris Schuler will be able to update Hawaii County cesspool prioritization with the most updated data if our county will, if DEM won't share that resource with him. So
Yeah,
in my mind, he's not just a general public, it's a legislative act. And then how is our county following through with him being able to complete that act?
Sure. I can't speak exactly to what our general policy is on that, but in this specific example, the timing is unfortunate. You know, of course, we want to provide the information, but we're actually doing a more in-depth analysis than what Chris is doing. We are doing hydraulic analysis, saying what capacity is available for all of our collection system wastewater treatment plant, whereas the exercise Chris is performing is just really general desktop analysis. This is where the county could expand. And so we're really drilling down into where we have capacity, dividing up into project areas, estimating the cost for those prior areas, coordinating internally and externally to come up with a county-wide integrated wastewater management plan that kind of spells it out for our community up to 2050. So our integrated plan includes the cesspool conversion plan as well as our facilities plan. So as you know, our facilities haven't been maintained to the extent required. So it's like assessment. What is the condition of all of our assets? How much is that going to cost us? And then wrapping that all into the integrated plan. So to answer your question, we're doing a much more in-depth analysis than what Chris is producing. And I agree the timing of sharing information is unfortunate, but the administration felt strongly that we wouldn't release incomplete information to our public and create a miscommunication.
Of course, that makes a excuse me. That makes a lot of sense. I do believe some information that he is requesting right now is just location of cesspools. And so
that would be state data is the location of cesspools. That's their database, which we're also using.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
Hi, Kelly. Couple questions. Is there a possibility for us to get a copy of the task force meetings? You've had two so far, you say?
I don't know if anybody's taking meeting minutes. I'm not overseeing that. Is that what you're asking for? A copy of meeting minutes?
Yeah, to share with us.
I don't
For the
have that
cesspool?
record.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I've been advising people, maybe I shouldn't say that. It's the
You should
mayor's
speak to
task
it.
force. It's the mayor's task force. So I know that I've had folks ask me also for that. And I other than saying it's the mayor's task force and maybe to request information directly from the office.
That would be beneficial. And one more thing. For the draft for the IWWMP, was that supposed to be out this month? Because it works with the timeline for the budget under the AOC?
I'm not sure how that's related. So we have been saying that the draft integrated plan we expect this fall. We're saying it very generally because we're moving slowly.
Cool.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But as soon as that becomes available, I have everybody, actually, I probably have to make an update to the stakeholder list with the new commissioners. But I have you all on our stakeholder list, which will mean you'll get a direct email invite to any public meeting and when the draft becomes available on our website. And I certainly think that will get added to the agenda when it becomes available, or maybe even sooner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for this agenda item? Okay, I think that we can move on. Update regarding areas where EMC could provide comments and recommendations. I feel like we kind of sprinkled that through this whole meeting, but if you folks with DEM would like to add additional comments to that or direction at this time, that would be welcomed. Okay, well, I did appreciate you folks saying that you're wanting to identify a process to share and to communicate with the commission. And as I previously stated, I just wanted to offer my time and assistance. And if you would like any assistance in that, just please ping me and let me know how I can help.
I think if that's something we want to hash out, that would be a great addition to the agenda. I think for the department, it would be helpful to reduce all of these individual updates. Like A through L is a lot for the department to be reporting back. It'd be nice to maybe shorten that to one or two things that the commission can deliberate and provide advisory things on. So maybe we can work together to come up with a list for future agendas,
Absolutely.
including that communications plan.
Absolutely, Kelly. I would really like to work on that with you. I apologize for the long agenda this time. There was just several unknowns that hadn't been discussed for some time. So we wanted to just make sure that we had a pulse on what was going on within the department. Recognizing it's a new administration and you are also trying to settle in. Very good. Okay, so we're on to the next agenda item, which is just future agenda items. If folks can please, if there are any recommendations for agenda items from the room or online, you can get them to me. Friday, September the 5th will be the last day that I accept recommendations for the following month's agenda. We have a couple of announcements. The commission is also looking for new commissioners. We have vacancies in districts 2, 5, and 8. We would love to fill our vacancies in order to meet quorum more easily and to be able to pass recommendations from the commission. I also wanted to point out and make an announcement regarding Closing America's Wastewater Access, which is something that either county or communities can look into. They provide no cost technical assistance to communities with failing septic systems or without existing wastewater infrastructure. And that is a program that is currently underway by EPA. And our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, September the 24th, and that will be in Kona. All right, I believe that that is all. And if we could have a motion to adjourn.
I motion to adjourn.
Komitani, District 9, second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. This is closing the Environmental Management Commission